Up to now, we got a high-level overview of what Apache Kafka is. We learned that it's a platform for handling streams of data or events. But why has Kafka become so incredibly popular? Why do companies like Netflix, Uber, and Airbnb rely on it to run their most critical systems? The answer lies in three core strengths, three superpowers that make Kafka uniquely powerful. By the end of this lecture, you will understand what these three superpowers are and, more importantly, how Kafka achieves them. Those three superpowers are scalability, durability, and fault tolerance. Scalability is the ability to handle a massive amount of data. Durability is the ability to protect data and never lose it. And fault tolerance is the ability to continue working even when things break. The secret to all three of these is Kafka's distributed nature. Don't worry about that term just yet. We are going to explain everything using a simple analogy. Imagine a magical library. Yes, a magical library. Let's imagine our library has one enormous magical book called sales events. Every time a sale happens anywhere in the world, a new line is magically written in this book. Now, if you have thousands of sales happening every second, this single book becomes a bottleneck. It's hard to write in it that fast, and if many people want to read from it at the same time, they have to form a line. This doesn't scale well. This brings us to our first superpower, scalability, the power to grow. Scalability simply means that as your data and traffic grow, the system can grow with it without slowing down. So how does our magical library solve this? It doesn't use one giant book. Instead, it splits the sales events book into several smaller volumes or chapters. Maybe chapter 1 contains sales from North America, chapter 2 has sales from Europe, and so on. In Kafka, these chapters are called partitions. Splitting a topic into multiple partitions is the first key to scalability. But having multiple chapters isn't enough. What if they are all still stored in one small room with one librarian? You still have a bottleneck. The magical library solves this by building multiple identical library buildings. Chapter 1 is stored in building A, chapter 2 in building B, and chapter 3 in building C. Now you can have writers and readers going to different buildings all at the same time without getting in each other's way. In Kafka, these library buildings are just different computer servers, and we call them brokers. A Kafka cluster is simply a group of these brokers working together. So how does Kafka achieve scalability? By splitting topics into partitions, which is chapters in our analogy, and spreading those partitions across multiple brokers. Brokers are library buildings in our analogy. This allows Kafka to handle many producers and consumers at the same time because the work is distributed. If traffic doubles, you can just add more brokers, more library buildings to the cluster to handle the load. Okay, so we can handle tons of data, but what if one of our library buildings burns down? Do we lose that chapter of our book forever? This brings us to our second superpower, durability, the power to never lose data. Durability is a promise. Once Kafka says it has your message, it will not lose it. How does our magical library guarantee this? It uses magical instantaneous copying machines. When a new sentence is written in chapter 1 in building A, it is instantly and perfectly copied to backup copies of chapter 1 that are stored in building B and building C. This process is called replication, and it's the heart of Kafka's durability. You can configure how many copies you want to keep for every topic. A common number is 3. And it's best to choose an odd number. In Kafka terms, the main active chapter is called the leader partition. The backup copies are called follower partitions. Kafka is constantly making sure the followers have an exact up-to-date copy of the leader. So how does Kafka achieve durability? Through replication. It keeps multiple copies of every partition on different brokers. If one copy is destroyed, the data still exists safely on the other copies. This leads us directly to the final and perhaps most impressive superpower, fault tolerance, the power to survive disasters. Fault tolerance is the ability of the system to keep running without interruption even when a server fails. This is the payoff we get from replication. Imagine building A, which holds the main copy, the leader of chapter 1. Imagine building A suddenly crashing. The server goes offline. Does the whole library grind to a halt? No, because perfect copies exist in building B and C. The magical library system instantly says, okay, building A is gone, building B, your copy of chapter 1 is now the new leader. All new writers and readers for chapter 1 are seamlessly redirected to building B, and everything continues working as if nothing happened. This process of promoting a follower to a new leader is called leader election. Once building A is repaired and comes back online, it can simply get the latest updates and become a follower again. So how does Kafka achieve fault tolerance? By using its distributed nature and replication. When a broker holding a leader partition fails, Kafka automatically elects one of the follower partitions on a healthy broker to become the new leader. This happens in seconds, providing near continuous availability without data loss. So let's recap Kafka's 3 superpowers. Scalability is achieved by splitting topics into partitions and distributing them across multiple brokers. Durability is achieved by making copies of every partition through replication. Fault tolerance is the result of that replication, where if a lead broker fails, a follower is automatically promoted to be the new leader. These 3 strengths, all working together, are what make Kafka a powerful, resilient, and trusted platform for handling data at any scale.